That track went viral, but the beat contained an uncleared sample that Sony represented. Now he has been sued for about $1 million. Trefuego would have cleared the sample for probably 10 to 20,000 and then split the revenue with Sony. Did he cut the producer out and keep 100% of everything? And this isn't a funny story. This is not a funny story at all. I've been talking about sample clearance a lot lately, just because it's coming up a lot more often. And I think with all the technology that's out, there's going to be more of a reckoning when it comes to producers using uncleared samples, rappers releasing uncleared samples. I would love it if the reckoning were just a content ID type system where sample owners could just monetize your music if you're sampling them, and it doesn't have to be a legal fight. It's just a split, or maybe they just take control of your revenue and force you into negotiating with them, whatever. But something where there's a pathway to much easier and fairer sample clearance. Now, this story is not hopeful. Erinn, you brought this up last year sometime about an artist that I wasn't familiar with, Trefuego, who's young. He's like barely 20, I think, right?
Yeah, he's 20.
So you were talking about, when you brought it up last, I mean, this was a while ago, and apparently this has been going on since 2019. So, nearly 5 years, according to this musicbusinessworldwide.com article. He dropped a song in 2019 called 90 Miles Per Hour. That track went viral, but the beat contained an uncleared sample that Sony represented, I think on the publishing side, and or maybe the master side, honestly, maybe both. But back then, I think they were seeing the success of this track specifically on TikTok, but a lot of that carried over to Spotify and the other streaming platforms. And according to all the news articles, and I guess according to just my observational powers, since this has been 5 years in the making, Trefuego ducked them. Even in the articles, they won't say his name. So I guess he was just ducking the labels. And when the labels would issue a takedown, he would re-upload it under another name and run up the numbers then and go back. So it was kind of funny. And I think it's the type of thing that I probably would have done when I was that age. However, now he has been sued for about $1 million, $802,000. Well, if we round it up, $803,000 in damages, including about $14,000 that DistroKid froze once all of the legal complaints started rolling in. Where were we at? Erinn, do you remember how you brought this up last time? Because I wasn't familiar with it. Where was it when we last spoke about this?
I think that they were in the process of trying to get him to take it down, or I don't know, because I think it was in the process of him re-uploading it. And I don't quite remember because I feel like it was a while ago, but I think they were they had figured out who the actual the actual person was who was uploading it. And it was this kid. And then I think he was just kind of playing Catch Me If You Can, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think they had started the lawsuit proceedings, but it wasn't nearly where it's at right now.
What's the song called?
90 mph, 90 miles per hour. Trefuego's the artist, and this dropped in 2019. So it's both Sony Music Entertainment and Sony Music Publishing Japan. So the artist's name is Toshifumi Hinata, I do not speak Japanese whatsoever. My apologies. But he's represented, I assume he's signed to Sony as a label and then also signed a publishing deal with them. That his song is from 1986. And the name of the song is Reflections. I don't feel like a snitch speaking on this because this is already handled. The courts have already decided. But his song, the original, is, it's gotten tens of millions of plays on Spotify, just that one platform. So it's not exactly an obscure record. Now, there's a lot to unpack here. I want to show you a couple things that I think it just goes to show you how crazy things are now with the internet and these lawsuits. People are walking around like it's 1998 in the music business, and it's not. This is an actual copy of the lawsuit. As you can see, this is the filing. But look at the evidence that they've used here. Comment sections on YouTube. They're using, and then they're extrapolating all this information, legal assertions. So their main legal assertion here, where you can see someone says, I really just want this song, but only with the violin part. What they did was, they're asserting that because of comments like these, that makes the sample far more central to the song because of comments like these. And as we know, people will say anything on the damn internet.
But we don't know. We don't know like how much. I mean, obviously, it's in the document, but we don't know like how much that played into like the decision, right?
I think it's a big part because they're trying to influence the judge. What they're doing is, and this is the thing. A lot of people will say, okay, well, if they catch you, it'll be worth it if your song goes viral. Just sample. My thing is, no, if your song goes viral, you need to figure out how to clear it, because it's not going to be a matter necessarily of them coming to you amicably and saying, hey, we see what you're doing. We really like how this song is going. This is great that you're viral off some intellectual property that we control. Let's just split it 50-50. They're going to come trying to get everything. And I think this is proof of that, because they're really trying to make the case, using comments, isolating comments that say the beat really makes the song, or I really just want the song, but only the violin part. What they're using those comments to demonstrate is that the sample is more important than any other element of the song. And therefore that justifies them going after him for every cent of revenue. They're not going after him for a percentage. I thought Sting was an asshole for going after Juice WRLD when they interpolated his track and he went after them and got 80% of the whole song. I thought that was real shitty.
No, but
they're taking this kid for 100% of every bit of revenue he generated, $800,000.
But we don't know. I mean, of course, that's what they're trying to do with these comments. But if you're on the other side, it should be pretty easy to at least defend against the comments part, right? Because you can say, hey, anybody can write these comments. You can probably produce your own comments to say, oh, the lyrics are the best part of this song. So what is the judge to do? If you have comments, they have comments. You explain how comments get on YouTube. Like I would find it hard to believe that comments play, like they're in the document, of course. I mean, I can't deny that. But, you got to be a dumbass lawyer not to be able to defend against YouTube comments.
I don't know that he had a lawyer. I really, again, this is a young kid. And apparently, according to this document, it says defendant's infringement is willful. In January of 2021, Sony Music Entertainment Japan informed defendant of the infringing nature of his conduct. He's aware, blah, blah, blah. Nevertheless, he insisted on continuing to make the infringing works available. So he continued to profit from them until Sony Music Entertainment issued a takedown to the DSP. So it sounds like they actually were trying to resolve it back then. And look, even if the song got taken down, because a lot of people are still saying, well, it was worth it. I don't think it's for me, it's not worth losing $1 million. Granted, this guy has other songs that are viral, but I just,
does he? I'm on his Spotify now. He's got a couple of songs. One that's almost 3 million, and then a couple of them that are like 1.5 million. I mean, obviously, it's not the best case scenario, but it's also, to me, not the worst case scenario either. I mean, a lot of people know about him from this controversy. Now, I don't know how much he actually had to pay. I don't know what his financial situation is, but I just think that's stupid for the label to, if the song is popping, like you took it down, now nobody's eating. Like, That's kind of dumb to me. I'd have try to figure
Well,
that
they
out.
want they're allowing him to put it back up. It's just that after the fact, they want I think half of everything or something. Which I'm like, look, why didn't just you should have done that 3 years ago and just given them half of everything. And right now, you'd be $500,000 richer. My other problem is, and I want to ask the two of you this: do you think he actually made $803,000 off this record? I don't think so
No,
either.
no.
And what really suggests that to me is that the judge made this statement.
Well,
The huge
You said
fine.
it only hit like 10 million streams, right?
No, I didn't say that. It made a lot of streams. I think 300 million on Spotify alone, which isn't that much money. It's not $1 million, but
Well, if it's 300 million, then it definitely grossed at least 800. I mean, when you talk about the other platforms plus Spotify, it definitely, we're looking at probably a meal at that point.
it could
Plus,
have. I want to go back to that, but the judge said the huge fine will serve as a lesson, and he's a 20-year-old rapper. So the judge is making it a lesson, which to me, it's not a lesson to him. It's a lesson to him and pretty much anyone else, because this is getting a lot of publicity. So they're sending a message to artists out there who sample. Now, that just suggests to me that they're being heavy-handed, which is to say probably taking him for more than what they would normally deem is reasonable, maybe more than what he generated. My thing was, and this is a name I'm not going to say, but the producer of the track, Trefuego, did not produce this track himself. So did he cut the producer out and keep 100% of everything, or is that producer getting some of this? I guess based on the documentation, if the producer is not named, that probably means he got cut out. But he should have been entitled to a portion of this, if not like at least 20%. I don't know. But his name never comes up, so I'm not going to say his name. The producer did upload this beat to YouTube, which I assume that's where Trefuego got it. That was back in 2019. He labeled it as a Sheck West ASAP Rocky type beat. Now, to me, in a perfect world, Trefuego would have cleared the sample for probably 10 to 20,000, and then split the revenue with Sony, and continued making money off the hit song, and maybe even signed with Sony so they could have put the machine behind him for the song, and then maybe he would have made $800,000 legally and walked away. Because a lot of people are just dropping first, clearing later. It happens all the time. Majors do it all the time. It happened to me with the rodeo track. That track went viral on TikTok. I didn't even know about it, and then the label comes up and buys it. They negotiate the clearance of the underlying composition because it was an interpolation, and I walked away with equity in the track, so it wasn't a disaster. It's not safe, but the thing is, if you go viral, which chances are you probably won't, but if you do go viral, then clear it, because it's better than losing every cent you've made.
but
And that's not even considering if he invested money in the legal fees.
the label's stupid too. If I'm the label, I'm just going back to him and be like, yo, let's sort this out. Actually, tell your fans that we didn't let you upload it, but upload it so you can still be a fake rebel and keep running the numbers up. Like that. Yeah, I think that the label messed up too. I mean, I know they got a lot of other things going, and this is only a drop in the bucket, but still, like it's too many dumbass people at these labels just messing things up. That's why, like, when we do projects, if an artist is signed to a major, it's typically like, oh, don't even try it. Let's not even try to work it out, because we know how difficult it's going to be. And that sucks, because there's a lot of artists who want to take advantage of like different creative opportunities, but we can't approach them because once they get the label involved, shit is going to go left. It's going to get super weird. And that's why that's why I don't feel sorry for these labels. I mean, I feel sorry for the people that work at them that are good people and that want to do the right thing. But you can't really fight against the system as an individual, when you're working at a big company. So, hey.
Yeah, I mean, I think he should bring the song back if, based on the lawsuit, he's still getting some equity in the track. You got to make some of that money back, and then I would go on a hell of a media run talking about this to gain more attention to it and run those numbers up, man. Because 800 losing.
It lost its steam, though. I mean, you might be able to put it back up and do a little something, but it kind of missed its moment. Most likely, I ain't heard the record. I mean, if it's an amazing record, maybe not.
I don't know. Maybe it, because all of this is happening now, and people love a good controversy. Just because it went viral once doesn't mean that the whole world heard it. And now, to me, there's a different demographic. Because back when Erinn brought it up, I didn't even go listen to the record. Now I'm listening to it. So he's capturing good? Potentially.
Is it a good song?
I can see why.
Probably sound just like all the other songs.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't think. Well, the beat is interesting. The beat is like,
it's a very Gen Z song.
It's cool and edgy and like detuned and weird.
So they gonna cut that clip for additional evidence. See, even Payne said it's because the beat is interesting. Yeah.
No, Payne did not say that.
You just gave him more ammo. Damn.
Well, the beat hasn't been taken down. The beat is still alive and well on YouTube.
More ammo. See, the beat still lives on and it's doing well.
Now you about to get the producer.
Hey, the producer's name is not even in any of the legal documents.
Hey, yo, I'm done with lawsuits though, man. Like, there ain't really nothing. We say the same thing every time these lawsuits. It's like, hey, get permission. Hey, figure shit out. Like, it's the same conclusion for all of these lawsuits. It's the same thing. There's like no additional learning to this. Like, I think you should start a separate series that's just like, because people are interested in some of these stories, but the learning is always the same. It's like, get your paperwork in order, stop fucking people over, and do good business. Like, it's the same thing every time. Stop stealing people's stuff. Like, no, you can't just use other people's stuff without their permission. Like, that's.
Well, I mean, they're the people that, because every time I say this, people are like, "Oh, you're just hating on sampling." And it's like, no, I'm not at all. Trust me. And I'm not trying to be the parent or the cop. I don't want to play either of those roles. It's just I'm here to whisper in your ear and say, hey, if there's some heat on you, figure this out. Take that heat off of you. That's it. If the numbers are going up, you should feel a little nervous and you should handle it. I'm just telling you how to handle it. Yeah. And here's a living example of that. You don't want to be him. I mean, you want to be him. You would want to be him in like 2020 when the numbers are going up, even 2021. And I can see how a young guy, because back then, if he's 20 now, he was 16 then. You know what I mean? Like a 16-year-old getting contacted by a label for copyright infringement. That's got to be terrifying. No wonder he was ducking. I would duck. That was like me when I was 16 and army recruiters would call or the police would show up at my house. I was hiding and I was telling my parents, telling them I'm not here. And thank my parents because they would. But, it's just, you're going to duck those kinds of problems for as long as you can. Unfortunately, it just sounds like there was nobody around him with any sort of knowledge about the music business who would have said, look, just get a lawyer. And, this is a big deal. The lawyer's probably going to tell you that they're interested in negotiating because they're going to get something out of it too. And this could be a good thing. Your song is viral. If you talk with them, they might even be offering you a deal. Who knows what those conversations were like? Who knows what Sony intended to do back then? But eventually, I think they just got sick of chasing him down and
here's
came out with the big guns.
I mean, here's a little bit of extra learning, because like, if you don't sort this out in the very beginning, it just gives people more leverage later on. And if it's a label and ego gets involved, they could just be like, fuck you, because they don't really depend on any one song, right? So if their ego gets involved, it can pretty much terminate the entire deal because they don't really need that song. And they will try to teach you like once ego gets involved, like people are just trying to teach you a lesson. There's no interest in trying to like resolve it, make things fair. At that point, they're just trying to teach you a lesson and prove who has the most leverage. And if you wait until something goes viral to have your business in order, you lose all leverage. So
yeah, I mean, that's literally what the judge says. They're trying to teach him a lesson, and I guess they did. I checked his socials. He hasn't posted in a while, so he's really ducking. I don't think he's put out new music. I hope, like you said, Dame, he probably ran out of steam, which I think is a real tragedy because this is a kid. 20 is a kid. This is a kid, and it's a shame to see all that momentum that he had and whatever passion he had for, because clearly he had passion when he was ducking and dodging the label and re-uploading it. He was putting a lot into it. And then I fear that you're correct, Dame, that he just lost his steam and was like, all right, I'm done with music. I owe $1 million. My life is fucked. I was on the top of the world 2 years ago and now I'm at the bottom. And I fully understand why he looks at it that way, but there is another way to look at it. And I hope he figures that out because this could be a great opportunity right now for him to create like a redemption story and change the narrative. And I understand him being exhausted. That sounds like an awful legal battle to go through when all you wanted to do was make music and put it on the DSPs. But here we are.
And I mean, I don't know how long this cat's been making music, but I'm on his Spotify and like his first release is 2020, and he's young. You said he's 16, right? How old you say?
He's
16?
20 now, but he was 16 in 20.
Yeah, I mean, if you're serious about music, I mean, he's still super young, so you could always kind of recover at this age, So hopefully he gets his feet under him and resolves all the legal bullshit and keeps it pushing. Because if this really is his first track, I don't know if he deleted stuff prior to 2020. Now we're in 2024. That's in 4 years. That's a lot of progress. So, hopefully he's not too defeated. He can bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, I'll send him beats right now with no samples.
Payne's just trying to get his beats placed. Hey, y'all should rock with Payne though. Payne's one of the dopest producers I know. I always try to throw Payne some opportunities when I can. I actually just sent you some, just that when people are looking for beats, I think I sent it to you through Instagram. It was somebody's story I shared with you earlier today.
Oh, I got to check.
But yeah. Hopefully, Trefuego, keep your head up, big dog. You'll get through this.
But he's young, so he could just rebrand and start over. I think there's so many cool things that he could do. Trefuego, if you're out there, I hope you're not defeated. But I feel like there's a lot of cool. You could tell the story of this on YouTube, chronicle it through the years, make that money back, and then be like, and here's how I'm rebuilding my music career. And you start day one. I feel like he had to be a young, smart hustler because his TikTok profile was rising and he was making money off the music and he kept re-uploading it. He's not dumb. So, I mean, he may be ducking out right now because his lawyers legally probably told him to, but I think he's going to be all right. This is like me last year. I lost $250,000 in my business last year. If that happened to me in my early 30s, imagine what's going to happen. Not more loss, but like there's so much more to gain if that just happened at a young age. That's how I see it. That's how my mentors and people have told me to look at it. So if this is happening to you right now, you got a major label suing you for $1 million. It's only up from here, I think, if you attack it the right way,
And when you get back to putting out music, make sure you use 2 Lost. You can use our code at odds and you can upload for free for 3 months. Actually, if you hit me up, I'll give you a whole year. Because you just got hit for $1 million. I could save you $20 for a whole year.
Yeah, free distribution, free beats. hit us. Now someone is just going to get the trefuego@gmail.com and start contacting us. Don't do that. We'll know.
Trey, hit me up, man. If you hear this, hit me up, man. We'll talk about how to restart your career, man. Hit me up. We'll work together on that.
Yeah, maybe you guys can figure out the Sony stuff, the legalities, and based on that, start making him some money back off that record.
Yeah, when you start negotiating with, you have to just really. It's super important that you have somebody experienced that is negotiating, because again, as soon as they feel like they don't like you or you're doing too much, or it could go left. So you have to really get some strong counseling when you're entering negotiations like that.
Well, the negotiation has already been done, right? I mean, it's
or just the whole process, like just the whole process. Because I would love to see like just the communication leading up to the actual lawsuit. Like what transpired? Did he start popping off?
Yeah.
Did somebody from his team start popping off? Like I'm sure it wasn't like a professional communication all the way through. I'd be surprised if that was the case. If he always approached it like, oh, I didn't know. Let's figure this out. I'm young. I made a mistake. If you approach it like that, as opposed to like, fuck that, I'm not taking it down. I don't care. I paid for the beat, yada, yada, yada. Then that's a totally different conversation.
Hopefully it's positive, and we appreciate you tuning in. And even if you're not Trefuego, use code ADDODDS on twolost.com for 3 free months of premium music distribution for your beats, for your music, for whatever. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.